Really the answer, just a question I'm posing. Maybe the breeders need to kick it around. You know what's practical for your operations, I don't. And just some advice, very briefly, if you decide to go towards carcass EPDs, which I'm sure you already are, pick a lab. There are 4 labs, I believe, in the country. Data consistency and integrity is extremely important when you're talking about doing a genetic selection program. And when a lab gets the chance to try to compete for the biggest ribeye or the highest INF or anything like that, the breeders that are using those traits to select from are always going to lose. Like I say, we try to blind all of our technicians to everything that we can to get as unbiased as we can. But I'm not sure all the competitors out there are doing that. And also, shoot side readings. From what I showed you earlier, if you've got a technician standing there that can interpret those images right there at the shoot, is he going to be as unbiased as I will after you ship them over the internet and I take all the names and breeds and weights and sexes off them? And another thing, if he takes a poor quality image because he's been poorly trained and he gets you a ribeye that's 2 inches smaller than what he really has, is he going to say, oh, I screwed up, we need to take another image, we need to go rescan it, it's not right? Probably not. So make sure that the data you're getting is accurate. Scan Beefmasters in a low stress environment. For some reason, eared cattle, when they get hot, things of that nature, I think part of their heat tolerance will affect ultrasound. Those images get dark. One of our technicians that probably scans as many Beefmasters as any other eared cattle period starts at 3 in the morning and quits at 9, no matter how many he's done. For whatever reason, he said when they start to get warm, those cattle, I don't know whether they increase their blood flow at their skin level or what they do, but they become more difficult to scan when it gets hot. Get carcass EPDs as fast as you possibly can, and then use them effectively. You can't afford not to scan, especially with feed prices the way we talked about. The cattle that can perform and can grade on limited forage and limited feed will be in higher demand now than they ever have been. Educate your own buyers on the value of ratios and EPDs. Take the time to sit down with them and explain what the data means. Don't just sell them something that's high in one trait or high in another. Try to sell them the bull that they actually need. And then also pursue technology. I'm sure one of the articles that you folks were talking about is the ultrasound versus DNA that I wrote. I'm not afraid of DNA testing. I don't think that it's going to overtake my business anytime soon. It's another tool. I would encourage you to use it where the traits are difficult to measure, but don't only use it just because somebody wants to see it. You know, a 9-star bull in some particular trait doesn't mean squat if the guy that's buying it doesn't care how many stars he's got. Don't spend the money unless your breeders and buyers really want it. I'll take any questions you guys might have, but I want to thank Doyle and Dorothy for inviting me down here. I hope you get a lot of things started with the Beefmaster breed.
Patrick, this is a note of information. The scan window is 320 to 460 now.
Okay.
Right from the set, it's 320 to 460. Oh, that's going to help her.
I would think it would help.
I have a question. Do you feel like the trim, you made a comment about the value of the carcasses being improved with the higher INF scores and those people looking for the choice carcasses? Do you think with the technology we have now that there may be a trend leaning more towards tenderness and select versus high marble, that where the correlation is not necessarily a correlation with tenderness and marble? Is that true or not?
The only trait that is positively correlated with tenderness on the carcass is marble, but it's still pretty low, at least in the research that I've done. But yes, you're right. Tender select beef, I don't care what anybody tells you, will taste just as good as a tough prime one, probably better. You have to have enough paste fat in that ribeye in order to, if somebody were to put it on the grill and overcook it, you've got to have enough taste left over. But yes, if cooked properly, select beef that's tender is fine. Now, the best tool you've got right now for tenderness is probably DNA. I know there is a company or two out there that are selling you on ultrasound for tenderness, I'll tell you from experience, if it was accurate, I'd be using it. But it's not. Anytime it's been independently validated, it's been fairly poor. Good question. Did I answer it? Okay. Yeah.
Black line cattle are easy to scan.
Yes. Yeah, it's funny you should say that because we had a retired physician that actually learned how to scan cattle that worked at human ultrasound. And he said the same thing, that the darker pigment of the human skin, they're easier to ultrasound than light pigmented humans. What it is, I have no idea. Not a clue, but and there's variation within breeds, don't get me wrong. There's black cattle that scan very difficult. But on the average, Hereford cattle are a lot more difficult to scan than say Angus. But that's not to say you should start making your breed black just because it's scanning. But that there is a difference.
You just made a statement that DNA testing for tenderness is not that accurate in your opinion from certain companies. Is feed efficient DNA in your opinion accurate?
DNA testing for tenderness is the most accurate tool that you've got. How accurate that is, I don't know. What
is the most accurate? I thought what I understood.
Yeah, there's no measurement for ultrasound for tenderness that's accurate. Clarify that. Efficiency-wise, I haven't seen anything hit the market that's really just going to revolutionize it from a DNA perspective. I wouldn't spend money on it until they validate it independently. The National Beef Cattle Evaluation Consortium is basically put together to do just that. If you want to take a risk, by all means go ahead and use it. But I would wait until that group validates the DNA test before I really put a lot of money for it. Good question. Any others?
Talk to us a little bit about the test